It's time for CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Find us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, YouTube, and TuneIn. The easiest thing to do is tell Alexa or Siri to play CBJ in 30. Here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Let me just start off today by making two statements. Number one, the Blue Jackets played horribly in Philadelphia on Saturday night and lost a game in which they had a 4-2 lead in the third period. They lost a game, gave up 5 goals, and fell 7-4. Completely and absolutely unacceptable for this team. That is statement number one. Statement number two is the Blue Jackets had just picked up points in 6 straight games before Saturday, before that breakdown, before they not just let that one get away, but before they handed it away to the Philadelphia Flyers. So why do I make statement two? Because even though statement one is true, because of statement two, I think we need to temper a little bit how we feel about statement one. Welcome to the Monday Mailbag edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott. And what I'm trying to say to you is that it was a terrible loss. Absolutely. But these types of things are going to happen at certain points throughout the season. Now, if they start to happen every day, if they start to happen 2 out of 3 times or 3 out of 5 times, then it's a real issue. If you've just picked up points in 6 straight games and then you have a complete breakdown in a disastrous third period, well, it is going to happen from time to time. I'm not giving them a pass on it. I'm not saying there aren't things to be worried about when it comes to that game on Saturday night. I'm not saying you should be happy with the way the Blue Jackets played. I'm not saying any of that. None of it. But what I am saying is, if you had gotten no points in 4 games and then had that happen, this would be a lot different discussion today, okay? And look, you know me. I'm not trying to put this positive spin on it and sell you something that I don't believe. I'm just giving you facts. And the fact is that the Blue Jackets were rolling along, and all of a sudden, they hit a pothole. And it's a pothole of their own creation. I'm not going to say it's not. It absolutely is. They did it to themselves. But now it's about not letting it happen again. Now you put yourself in a spot where you have to rebound on Wednesday, and you have to show that that was just a blip on the radar screen. That's what you have to do if you're the Blue Jackets now. That it was unacceptable. But it is going to happen throughout the course of the year. So I've got plenty of questions about that, plenty of questions about different facets of the game, as you may imagine. I'm sure you can. And I'm going to get to all of that right after I tell you about Telhio Credit Union. At Telhio Credit Union, they have different things for different people, or they have different things for the same people. What do you mean by that? Well, I'll tell you exactly what I mean. Maybe you have some personal banking that you would like to take care of, checking account, savings account, and you want something that, has some good services for you, has some perks and bonuses, those kind of things. Telhio Credit Union has that. Let's also say that you own a business and you're looking for some business banking. Well, Telhio Credit Union can help you with that too. So you see what I mean? They can do different things for the same person, or they can do the same things for different people. Whatever it is, they've got it. Plenty of services, plenty of perks, plenty of reasons that you should join Telhio Credit Union. You'll find out all about them just by going onto their website at telhio.org. Telhio Credit Union is open to everyone in central and southwestern Ohio. They are federally insured by NCUA. Now let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to your questions that you have sent to me via Twitter at BobbyMacSports. And the first question in this Monday Mailbag comes from Cameron, who says, how many questions about the power play will you get? Cameron, I think it's just shy of 120. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but not much. I can tell you that. So there's your answer. Now, to really be serious about it, I do have a lot of questions about the power play. And I have some questions that are, they really make sense. I have some others that are more of a statement of what they think about the power play, of what they think about the Blue Jackets coaching, or what they think of the Blue Jackets coaches, especially the ones that are coaching the power play. I have all of that. And I'm not going to read through all of them. I'm not. But if you're thinking I'm going to avoid what you're asking me, I'm not going to do that either. But there are just so many of them, and there's so much repetition in these different questions that I'm going to take one, and I'm going to read the one, and then I'm just going to go off of the one question because the answer is going to be the same for so many of these. If I run through them, I'd just be giving the same answer over and over and over. So I picked this one that I think kind of talks about every bit of what everybody has chimed in with. And this is from Adam. And Adam says, I realize a lot of analytics reporters are defending the power play as more than the coach, and changing the coach won't magically fix it. But at what point does something need to happen? Personnel, approach, strategy, and design has changed over and over again, and it still sucks. Okay? And I think that maybe at the end that sounds harsh, but I think it's fair because this power play is something that has been a struggle for the Blue Jackets, not just in these first 11 games. It was a struggle last year. It was a struggle the year before that. I mean, this is an ongoing problem with this team. There have been some small spurts where they've gotten it and they've started scoring, and it makes a big difference in the outcome of games. But the way it is sitting right now, we have seen it at times in the past, and that is it's more of a detriment than it is a plus to get a power play. Look what happened last night. Not only not scoring power play goals, but then giving up shorthanded opportunities, shorthanded goals is what the Blue Jackets were doing or I said last night, Saturday night. Saturday night. What is today? Monday. Yeah, Monday Mailbag. So Saturday night, that's where all of that was going wrong. So that's my point. That's what I'm saying here is that, this is a legitimate question. And this is basically, this one boils down everything that everybody has asked. So I just want to give it to you straight, okay? Straight as I see it right now. The power play is a problem. I already stated that. There's no doubt about it. Is it the personnel that's on the power play? Well, it's very easy to say if the guys that are out there aren't going to get it done, then you have to give other guys opportunity. Okay. So what other guys would you like to see get an opportunity to go on the power play? I mean, let's just go through the lines. You've got top line Atkinson along with Foligno and Dubois. Well, they're all on the power play. You've got Wenberg with Nyquist and Bjorkstrand. They're all on a power play. You've got Jenner with Milano and Anderson. The two wingers are on the power play. Then you've got Riley Nash, Alexander Texier, and Emil Bemstrom. So Bemstrom had his chance on the power play. Wasn't working for him. Texier's had his chance on the power play. It wasn't working for him. So I guess with the exception of Boone Jenner and Riley Nash, who else would you like to see taken off the power play to get those guys put on the power play? That's my first question to you when we're talking about scoring, okay? Now, you can say, well, are the personnel that are on the ice in the right positions? And that's a legitimate question to ask because, Cam Atkinson has played in different spots. Would it be better to move Cam Atkinson from where he is to the other side of the ice? Maybe so. Maybe it would be. But look, here's the thing. And Brad Larson has taken a huge amount of heat for this because he is the assistant coach that is in charge of the power play. And again, when it's your job and it's not working, you take the heat. That's just part of the deal. This is the National Hockey League. But I'm going to say this, and I get as frustrated as you do with it. I'm telling you, I see a penalty and I see an opportunity to get into a game or, get back to a tie or whatever it is, build on a lead, and it doesn't happen. And I cringe. I cringe just like you do, and it drives me nuts, okay? But look, I say this to you about coaching all of the time, and the fact of the matter is a coach can draw up the best game plan in the world. He can have it all figured out. The only thing the coach cannot do is go out and execute it for the players. He just can't. And so to me, look, something has got to be done. I don't know what that something is, okay? I don't know what it's going to take to spark it. I really don't. But I know I could draw up the plan, and I would think it's a pretty good plan. And if they don't go out there and do what I planned, then what is the sense? So really, it's not just analytics saying this and that, and I'm not going to defend analytics. You know that by now for sure. But I'm going to tell you this. It is up to the players. I thought, especially in the game on Saturday, on the power play, look, here's the thing. I've talked about this before. I'm going to talk about it again. At the beginning of the year, they couldn't even get the puck up the ice and into the offensive zone, okay? Then they would get it into the offensive zone. It would last for, 2 passes and gone. Now it has made some forward progress to where they are getting entry to the zone, and they are making passes. Now, here's the problem. The passes are going all around the top. They're going from the half wall on one side right to the middle of the ice at the blue line to the half wall on the other side. That's where the majority of the passes are going. And I also don't think the Blue Jackets are snapping off those passes. I think they are slow. I think they are giving the penalty killers time to get into position and make the plays. You look at the Kevin Hayes shorthanded goal the other night. It's Cam Atkinson's going to make the pass back to Ryan Murray along the blue line. He doesn't zip it. He just kind of lays it out there, and Kevin Hayes lumbers up, grabs hold of it, and goes down the ice, and he gets himself a shorthanded goal. So you got to move it quick. You got to be zipping it around. You have to get the goalie moving. You have to get the box shifting. The box being those 4 guys that are killing the penalties, that are going to try to get into position where they're forming a box in front of the goalie, and they're going to try to block shots, and they're going to force you to the outside as much as they can. You've got to move the puck quickly. They're not moving it quickly. There were times last year they didn't move it quickly. Then there were times they did move it quickly, and that's when they had more success. Okay? One-timers. How many one-timers does this team take on the power play? I think Seth Jones takes some at times, maybe Werenski a little bit. I just don't think they one-time the puck very much on the power play at all. And I think the one-timer is one of the more dangerous shots on the power play. But again, if you're not moving the puck quickly, if you're not getting guys moving out of position, if you don't have the goalie moving left to right, then a one-time shot isn't nearly as effective because it's going to get blocked or the goalie's already going to be in possession or what have you. So the speed at which they move the puck has to change. The thought process has to change. And again, you don't want to hear it. I'm not exonerating any of the coaching aspects of it. I'm not. And I guarantee you there's at least one person and probably 100 listening to this saying, oh, well, you sit down with Torts every week and you talk to Torts, so of course you're going to exonerate the coaches. I'm not exonerating them. I mean, there's a role to play in that. They've got to figure out how to get the players to perform. But the bottom line is the players aren't performing. And, I mean, this is a power play that used to have last year and the year before one of the most skilled offensive guys in the league on it, and it was still a problem. And now maybe you're saying, well, that's why it comes to coaching. Okay, well, there's a problem. There's a problem. But the ultimate responsibility comes down to the players in executing and figuring it out. Now, is there another way to get that to happen? Is there a way to shock the system somehow and get that to happen? I don't know, but I will guarantee you this. It has been talked about, and it's being talked about because the power play is not helping this team. And even when they had gotten points in 6 straight games, the power play is still not helping this team. So it is, if you were to ask me, it is the biggest area of concern. The biggest area, without a doubt, of concern is to find a way to start scoring on the man advantage. So I hope you understand all of that. And I hope you understand why I'm not going to read 50 questions and repeat the same thing over and over and over again. I get it. I know where you're coming from. Many of you just want somebody to be fired and replaced with somebody else, and you think it's going to be fixed. I'm not convinced that would be the case. I'm not saying that there's no responsibility, that there's ownership by the people that run it. Yeah, they've got to take the flak for it. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of this is on the players, and it's got to be on the players. You can give them the best game plan of the world. If they don't do it, you're not going to win with it. Simple as that. Brown-Eyed Lauren is next on today's show. Lauren says, Torch said that he thought the team didn't play well and didn't have enough energy. Do you think this comes from having so many young guys, or does this lie on the shoulders of our veterans who need to set the pace and example for the younger players? It doesn't have anything to do with having young guys. If anything, the young guys should have more energy. I want to tell you it was just one of those days. If it happens again on Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday, I will have to be stood corrected. But I just think it was just one of those days where stuff didn't work, and nobody was able to pick it up and put it back together. It was like the Humpty Dumpty game, right? Nobody could put it back together. Once it started breaking, it was pretty much gone. Simple as that, pretty much gone. Next question comes from Andrew. Thoughts on Jonas Korpisalo's reactions? Also, is Josh Anderson 100%? His body language tells me that he is not, along with not finishing checks during the Philly game as hard as he normally does. Was also noticeable after his goal in conversation with Boone on the bench. With Corpy, I understand the emotions of the game, but just looks bad on his part and on the team, in my opinion. Let's start with that one, and that's Korpisalo smashing sticks or trying to smash them over the goalpost. Look, I like a guy that's competitive. I like a guy that wants to win. I like a guy that gets pissed off when things go wrong. I don't mind that. However, I think it has to be a little bit more controlled than what we saw. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Number one, when you do that, it tells the other team that they've got you. Okay? They're in your head. They've got you. Number two, it shows your teammates that you're mad at them. All right? And number three, look, whether you want to be it or you don't want to be it, doesn't matter. You are a role model. And look, I've got a son who plays goal very passionately, and I've seen him do the things like Korpisalo. And I've told him, I buy your sticks. You break it over the post, I'm not buying you a new one. You'll play without a stick. It's not going to work like that in the NHL. But my point is, you're a role model. You're setting an example. And, you know, I've seen it happen with him quite a bit. Even though he didn't play all the time, there were some times last year where it happened. So, again, I get it. I understand. I get mad, too. I could sit here and preach to Korpisalo about not doing it. I could go out and play a rec softball game in the spring and be screaming at somebody on the other side because I'm trying to win, right? So I'm a bit of a hypocrite in a way. But all I'm saying is when you are playing on TV and you're going to be playing games that are nationally televised and all that stuff, you're a role model. You don't want to have 15 or 20 kids around Columbus that have decided to wear number 70 because they're playing goal and they want to be like you, and then they're smashing their sticks over the crossbar and over the posts. Okay? That's all. That's all. It's minute. I understand him being mad, but might just want to suck that up just a little bit. What was the other one? Josh Anderson. Is he 100%? I think he's 100%. Did he finish off his checks? No. But we've talked about this with Josh Anderson before. The biggest problem that he has is there are nights that he will go away from playing that big bruising style that makes him the most effective NHL player that he can be. I think that was one of those nights. Next one. Let's see. I got to scroll through all of these power plays. Here's one from Veronica who says, I know we needed the extra man on the ice, but whose bright idea was it to pull Korpisalo when the Blue Jackets didn't have control of the puck and gave the Flyers an empty net goal? That goal shouldn't have happened. Veronica, you get the puck into the zone. At that point, you're trying to get something going. I think that was in a position where it looked like your team should have been able to gain possession of the puck. They didn't, and you give up an empty net goal. But that's a chance you take, and I think they should have been able to get there and get that puck. They just didn't do it. Let's see. What is the next one? Here we go. Sergei Kozlovsky. Seems like Blue Jackets players miss a lot of shots. Too wide, too high. How do you teach against that? Last game was bad, but without actual ability to hit the side of a proverbial barn, is it going to be hard to win? What is the attempts to shots on goal ratio ranking? Perhaps it's not all that bad. Sergei, I don't know what it is to look it up, but I'll tell you, you're dead on right about this. I think there are a lot of guys that miss the net. They miss it high. They miss it wide. And they're the guys that you're expecting to score the goals, quite frankly. So they need to be better at that. What do they have to do for that? I don't know if there's specific drills for it or just get out there and practice and concentrate and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. There was one case, though, that it worked out for the Blue Jackets. Dean Kukin takes a shot, misses the net by 3 feet, but it comes off the boards and right to Josh Anderson, who puts it behind Brian Elliott the other night. But, yeah, they do. They miss the net frequently. And you're exactly right. That's another area of, I guess concern is the word, but that's another area where I think that there are numerous guys that have to take some time and concentrate on that. I really think so. Here's a question from Kevin Miller, who says, can you explain the Liam Foudy situation? What was the advantage of putting him on the injured non-roster list at the beginning of the year as opposed to sending him back to London? Also, does loaned mean something different than assigned? All right, here's the deal, Kevin. He got hurt in training camp, so there was no advantage. He couldn't play. He was injured. And because you get injured at the NHL level, you have to stay there until you're healthy again, and then they can assign you. And when they say loaned, it's not an affiliate. You've got him under a contract, but you're giving him to that OHL team to play. So it's just a verbal difference. That's all. But you can't call him up from there. Well, I guess if there's just like there's an emergency situation that hardly ever gets utilized, but you can't call him up from there. Kelly says, I read that Jared Bowl led practice on Friday before flying to Philly. Why didn't one of the other bench coaches lead practice, and will we see more of Bowl coaching for the Blue Jackets? I think they just mix it up once in a while. They let a different coach run it, and it was probably Jared Bowl's day to do that, and good for him. I mean, Bowler's learning on the fly. He wants to get better at what he does. He doesn't want to just be out there pushing pucks around and not being actively involved, so that gives him a chance to get actively involved. And I'm not saying that you're going to see him on the bench or you're going to see him in a bigger role. I mean, he's got a full-time role now, so he's happy to be here. He's happy to learn, and that's just all part of the learning process. Next one says, this is the Anderson's Artillery. Putting thoughts and opinions about the power play aside, a lot of penalties were called on Saturday against both teams. Would you rather let the refs let the guys play, or do you want to see every little thing get called? Well, somewhere in the middle, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to see every little thing get called, but if you're breaking the rules, you're breaking the rules. So just, make the calls. Sometimes I get mad when they make a call, and then I look at a replay and I go, well, yeah, they should have made that call. That was penalty. So, there are some, as I say, ticky-tack things that I think that they get on at times when maybe they didn't really need to get on that one, but rules are rules. So if you're going to play by the rules, call the rules. And I guess I don't have as much problem with it as I thought. Jay Alexander says, if Texier is out longer term, who comes up? Cole Sherwood? Well, first of all, Texier, I think that they feel that the injury looked worse than it's going to be. Now, don't hold me to that, because when the team gets back on the ice for practice today, I'm sure they had more of a chance yesterday once the team got home, and or maybe even early today, to take a better look and see what they think about Texier and his lower body injury. But I got the impression the other night that they thought that maybe it wasn't as bad as it looked like it was. Hey, if they called up Cole Sherwood, I'd be okay with that, to be honest with you, if you want to bring an energy guy that's going to go try to create some stuff. But Jacob Lilly is still there, and Lilly has been a scratch the last couple of games, and he's a solid player. So I would expect that he would go back into the lineup first before they worry about bringing anybody up. And you don't really have to bring anybody up this week unless you want some insurance when you go out to St. Louis on Friday, but you've got 2 home games and just a one-off road game, so you don't really need an extra body until next week when you're going Arizona, Colorado, and Montreal. And oh, by the way, Marcus Hannikainen's another body here, so you don't need to make a recall. Next question is from Greg Senko, who says, I hear a lot of folks say professional athletes today do not respond to the drill instructor-style coaches for whatever reason. With that being said, Torts comes across very much like a drill instructor, but his team does respond to him. Why do you think that is? Well, I think it's because they're young, and I think that once you get a little bit older, that's when you get a little bit sick and tired of hearing a guy and being barked at and being, treated like you feel like you're getting treated unfairly, okay? So that's one thing. It's the youngest team in the league. I think you get a lot of guys coming in, and whether they like it or not, they're in the NHL, and if they want to play, they've got to do what this guy tells them to do, all right? So I think that that's part of it. The other part of it is he's been winning. He's changed the culture here. So even some of the older guys that have been around, guys that have played for other coaches here, they're looking at what he's doing, and he's having success. So when there is success, you just stay with it. If there was, a big fall off or something like that, then maybe that would change. But he's had success, and he continues to have success. So that's where it is, and we'll just just leave it at that. You don't have to like it, but if it's working, then you just go ahead and stay with it, and you let it work. It's very, very simple. And finally, this one comes in from Samantha, and it says, look, I understand about the power play, and I understand that the team is playing well despite a setback on Saturday, but I do want to ask this question. The Blue Jackets' new slogan this year is, out of our blue, we rise. I'm confused. I just don't know what it means. Can you help me? Well, I hope I can. I think I can. Actually, I know I can. But you've got to pay attention because it's kind of simply complicated. And what I mean by that is it is a very simple message, and it gets complicated if you overthink it. Like I had somebody say, well, what does that mean? Out of your blue, like you're blue, you're depressed because you lost a couple of free agents over the summer, but you feel with the players that you have now, you're going to rise. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with any of that. It simply means what it is to be a Blue Jacket. And that is our blue, as it's stated. And that's not just the players. That's all of us. For the players, what does it mean to be a Blue Jacket? How do you see yourself as a teammate? How do you see yourself as a member of the city? How do you see yourself as an ambassador when you go other places and represent the Blue Jackets and represent Columbus? Because don't forget, and I fall into that category too, because whenever we go somewhere, we are representing you. We are representing ourselves. We're representing our organization. We're representing you because we're all the same thing. All right? So that is what it is. It's really what it gets down to the core of it. It is what it means to be a Blue Jacket, what it means to be a Blue Jacket player, a Blue Jacket staff member, a Blue Jackets fan. What does it mean to you? What is your blue? How do you look at your blue? And then out of that, you rise for greatness. For the players, it's about the determination and the perseverance, but it's also about being there to go to the hospital and raise the spirits of those less fortunate. It's about all of those things, but it's just about what we are. When there's a game, let's go to the playoffs last year, and I've had people tell me this a million times all over the league, not just last year, but last year was special with the Tampa Bay series. When these games are televised nationally and people see how you show up and how you act and how you treat your team and how beautiful and well represented your city is, that is rising out of our blue. Just that. Just the way you're representing the organization, the city, and all of us. So as I say, it's kind of simply complex. It gets complex if you overthink it. It is just what it means to be a Blue Jacket, what it means to be a fan. It's all it means. And the blue is the blue of the Blue Jackets. And maybe the way you rise out of it is different than the way I rise out of it, is different than the way the team rises out of it. But we all rise. If you have a bad day and you come to a game and it's a great game and it has helped to lift your day, and if, then there has been some rising out of that. If the team is flat and it's down and you're there and you're part of this fan base that is making lots of noise and kind of sparking everything, and then there's electricity in the air, and they rise. And it's because of you. It's just all about what it means to be a Blue Jacket. For me, it means something special. I'll tell you that right now, because I was in Syracuse in 2000 when this team began, and we were the first American Hockey League affiliate. So even though I haven't been here since day one, I feel like I've been here since day one. I have from a distance for the first half of it, and now for the next half, I've been right here. It's special to me. It means something to me. I worked for a lot of years to get this opportunity, and it means the world to me to be a Blue Jacket, to be an ambassador, to be a representative, to be a voice. And I'm sure that you have your own story, what it means to you to be a fan, what this team has meant to you, and what you hope that you mean to this team. And for the players, well, the players, they've got the ultimate seat because they have the chance to rise every night, whether it's being down by a goal in Toronto or being down by 2 at home to the Carolina Hurricanes, to persevere, to fight, to continue to find a way. They rise. So that's really what it is. What does it mean to be a Blue Jacket? That's what our blue is. And out of that, we rise. That'll do it for today's edition of the Monday Mailbag of CBJ and 30, presented by Ohio Credit Union. Again, thanks for being patient with me today about the power play stuff. I would love to tell you it's going to get fixed. I know it will. I hope it's sooner than later, just like you do. But that is the top priority, I think, for this team to get that fixed and then get on a roll. Blue Jackets at home on Wednesday against the Edmonton Oilers. Hockey Halloween with trick-or-treating at Nationwide Arena. They'll go on the road for a game on Friday in St. Louis, be back at home to take on the Calgary Flames on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. 7:30 game on Wednesday, 7 o'clock game on Saturday. So, again, that's going to wrap up today's edition of CBJ and 30. It's been presented by Ohio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.